How many times can one galaxy face a widespread threat to all life within? At least a couple if Insomniac has anything to say about it. This time around, the Fuzzy Foxman and his metal backpack buddy have to return home to save the day from a robot with some serious anger management issues. Can they do it? How many supporting cast members can they fit into a single franchise? Will this space monkey ever catch a break? All these questions and more will be answered in Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Come along with me as I once again try to answer the question of, does this game from my childhood still hold up today? We'll fight robots, we'll trick small aliens, and maybe we'll even come to learn that the real good game is the friends we made along the way. We open on our two heroes still in the Bogon galaxy, evidently completely fine with never returning to the galaxy in which they were born and have always called home. That is, until a news broadcast comes on letting us know that, coincidentally, Ratchet's home planet is once again under attack from a new threat. This sends Ratchet into a rage, and we're forced to use an experimental and potentially life-threatening device to make a hyperspace jump from one galaxy to another in order to lend a helping hand. Just like that, we're back in the action and I get to do everyone's favorite section, breaking away from the story to go over controls. For the most part, controls are largely unchanged from Going Commando. We've still got the nice snappy movement from before, and strafing is still activated by holding down a dedicated button. Truth be told, there isn't much to say here that hasn't already been said by myself and I'm sure many others. Controlling this game feels like pulling out an old Motorola Razr after years of using an iPhone. Everything works exactly like it's supposed to, it just takes a bit of time getting used to how things used to be. Before I get back to the story, I am going to take a moment and talk about the weapon variety. There are, in total, 24 weapons to choose from throughout this game. Of those, 10 are either directly pulled from a prior title, or at least might as well be the same weapon. I'm excluding the Rhino here as it is a series staple. We've got everything from your classic machine gun blaster, to a multi-target taser on some serious steroids, to a gun capable of turning anything that moves into a duck, and even a portable black hole launcher. You could argue that bringing in so many guns from prior titles might seem like a negative, but honestly it never felt that way. At worst, it's a nice nod to prior games for fans, and at their best, most of these guns received a stellar upgrade to functionality. Once again, not every weapon is useful. I do still dislike the lava gun, but there is fun to be had with most everything here, and I can't complain about seeing a wave of enemies come in, only to be instantly decimated by what can only be described as an act of God in the hands of a human-shaped fox. Since it's not a surprise this time, I'm also going to go over how health and weapons upgrade this time around. It's the last thing before we get to the silly jokes about the story, I promise. For the first time, health is now displayed as a numbered bar rather than a series of pips. I didn't like this change at first, but once I saw how often that number goes up, I understood the necessity. It's honestly almost comical how often health increases. It went up at least twice in just this first mission. As a result, we no longer get a big room-clearing explosion after every increase. Instead, we get a slightly less impressive blast every multiple of 5. As before, enemies will do more damage to balance this, and they will do a lot of damage later on, but this can also be mitigated with the cool-looking armor upgrades we get as we progress. Weapon levels do return, and have also seen a bit of a redesign. This time around, each weapon levels up a total of 5 times. Each level increases the damage, but may also add a special or secondary effect. The 5th and final level of each weapon changes the name and functionality, either minimally or wildly depending on the weapon. For example, the blaster gets a faster rate of fire, while the rocket launcher splits on impact into a cloud of individually homing missiles, which feels like some kind of war crime, but what do I know? I like this version of the weapon levels way more than in Going Commando. I saw way more use out of each weapon because I no longer felt like I was missing out by continuing to use it after it leveled up, and when a gun did finally reach that final level, I didn't feel bad switching it out for something else because it provided a variety to the gameplay you just can't get by only using one overpowered weapon. You have to use every ridiculously overpowered gun to really understand how little of a chance these little blob things stand. Now, I've rambled on for long enough. How's the story going?
There's too many of them! We're all gonna die!
So we make our way through, proving that with a little bit of elbow grease, hard work, and an absurdly powerful shotgun, anything is possible. We push the Tyrannoids off of Veldin with the, help of the local Galactic Rangers. Turns out Zootopia's mayor used to moonlight as president of the Solana Galaxy, and he needs our help to track down the villain behind this whole disaster, the subtly named Dr. Nefarious. To do so, we need to head to a gross swamp planet again and track down the one man who's ever faced the angry robot and lived. I'll give you 3 guesses who that might be.
Captain Quark? Yeah, Captain Woof!
Turns out, after being thoroughly humiliated by Ratchet and Clank on not one but two galaxies, Quark reverted back to Monkey and now lives with the locals. He seems happy, but we can't have that, so we drag him back to our first hub area of the franchise in an attempt to force him back into the life he absolutely should not have been in the first place. The Starship Phoenix is nice as hub areas go, if a little unremarkable. While here we can purchase new weapons and armor, take part in VR training sessions, and customize our spaceship. I went with a nice royal purple because everything else looked like ass. Quark's brain is shockingly even more empty than it used to be, so we can't use him to help us stop Nefarious just yet. In the meantime, the president is under attack from some enemy forces, and I've got some time to kill, so I figure I should go help out. Also, he's the father of our new friend Sasha here. They make a big deal of pointing this out, but it never really holds any weight over the story, so moving on. Nefarious makes some ominous threats over the TV, and we head off to save the president. Our lovely robot friends boldly rush into the line of fire while I break a few boxes for spare change, and after a bit of diplomatic persuasion, we save the president from the goofiest looking invading army I've ever seen. Marcadia introduced us to a new mechanic in Up Your Arsenal, power-ups. Occasionally, and I do mean occasionally, we'll come across orange and or green boxes. These power-ups are very simple. Breaking an orange box makes you effectively invincible for a short time while increasing melee damage and giving Ratchet a second wrench. I'm uncertain if this locks you into melee only, as I honestly just never tried to shoot while it was active. Green boxes are arguably more useful, given that they double the value of any bolt picked up while the effect is active. The power-ups, which are admittedly a bit lackluster, are an addition that Insomniac didn't necessarily need to add, and they don't really impact the overall gameplay, so you'll only hear some mild whining from me regarding their inclusion. Anyway, one totally inept elected official rescued, and we're tasked with finding Quark's memory. I'm sure it just got packed away in one of those boxes you never touch again after moving and refuse to throw out for sentimental reasons. Our task takes us to a laser defense facility where we shoot more bad guys, redirect a few lasers, and run into everyone's favorite nerd, Al. Clank shatters his fragile ego, and he gives us a video game inside our video game, which everyone seems to think will jumpstart Quark's single brain cell, and it's about as good as a plan as any, so we take it back with us to the Phoenix. Back in the hub, we actually get to play this video game inside our video game, and it's a pretty good time. It's simple, of course, but I can't begrudge a quick little side-scrolling platformer, especially when it gives us a fat stack of real cash at the end. These vidcomics pop up 5 times in total throughout the game, and I don't really have anything negative to say about them. The intro dialogue, giving a bit of embellished backstory, is decently comical, and getting a massive amount of bolts just for completing them is incentive enough even if you don't care about the lore of Ratchet and Clank. Exposing Quark to the endless joy of media consumption does actually bring back all 2 of Quark's memories, so there's that plotline wrapped up in a nice little bow. Up next, we get sent to a horribly dangerous death course because, of course, to pick up a device that'll let us masquerade as one of these squishy little ball guys causing problems all over the galaxy. Death-defying stunts and arena slaughter complete, and we collect our prize. Unfortunately, my bloodlust isn't quite satiated, so I stick around for a few more rounds of senseless violence. I leave the arena with my conscience fully smothered under the weight of a full wallet.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh, and Helga, welcome to the Q-Force.
Am I missing something here? This guy is a massive criminal, right? Like, he was super involved in a plot which killed potentially trillions, and also directly enacted a plan in another galaxy which also resulted in untold casualties. How is he just getting a free pass on that? And why is everyone just not even acknowledging his many, many crimes? I know it's going to be for some lame-ass redemption arc thing later, but honestly, this guy just really doesn't deserve it. Anyway, we're off to infiltrate one of Nefarious's underwater bases.
Ratchet and Clank will descend to the sea floor and wade through a series of tunnels flooded with waist-high raw sewage.
Seriously, what is it with games from this era and sewers? I wade through those sewers because the script dictates I must and get to experience some classic Clank gameplay. The Clank sections in Up Your Arsenal are probably my least favorite so far. All the fun new microbots from Going Commando are gone, replaced with this goober, and we use him to push down buttons and distract security systems. Other than that, they really just amount to punch a few non-threatening enemies, force the couple normal microbots we do get into their home, and make really short jumps. Ratchet, on the other hand, gets to use the disguise, which is way better than the robot one from the first game. Firstly, we move at a normal speed. Secondly, screwing up these rhythm game conversations is absolutely free and has some banger insults. Nefarious isn't here because we're only a few levels into this game, but we do learn that he's terminally obsessed with Clank's movie star personality, which will probably come back later. Oh hey, this guy's back too.
Oh, it's you two again. Right on schedule.
Yeah, those dates check out. Nefarious experiences the robot equivalent of disassociation upon learning that Quark and the gang are out to stop him, and his butler goes off to wash the clothes Nefarious will never wear. The data we recovered from Aquados leads us to the Tyrannoid homeworld, which again involves us spearheading the assault. It's almost like this petty little man might hold some grudge against us. I can't imagine why. This level sees us invading this peaceful race's home and performing needless acts of aggression, including but not limited to vandalism, assault with a deadly weapon, reckless driving with an unsecured passenger, and oh yeah, the murder of the local government leader. The fight with the Tyrannoid Queen is the first of what I would consider to be the 4 main bosses in Up Your Arsenal. Excluding the final boss, this is also about as impressive and entertaining as they get. This fight has us using the environment to our advantage, triggering my PTSD from the Jack 2 tank section, and even has a fun freeze-frame cutscene. The others really just don't hold up in comparison, to the point where I pretty much forgot about them until I googled the number of bosses in the game when writing this script. This fight isn't challenging, don't get me wrong, but at least it's a spectacle. Quark gets the credit for beating the Queen because short guys just can't catch a break in any galaxy, and I take some time to help out the local Galactic Rangers. I'm gonna take some time here to rave about my favorite sections of this game. I absolutely loved every series of submissions with the Rangers. They were actually introduced in Marcadia, but I waited until now to talk about them because here is where I really felt the love. Across the game, we'll be prompted to help out the Rangers on a series of specific tasks in an isolated map. These range from defending a single point from enemies, to flying a hover ship to take out aerial units, to slowly advancing against a defending army to take out their base of operations. I can't think of a single one of these that I didn't enjoy. The action is great, the background dialogue from the Rangers is awesome, and the reward for completing each one is just the cherry on top. And I know, I've been pretty vocal about hating swarms of enemies to simulate difficulty, and I genuinely can't explain why I just don't care here. Maybe I'm just a hypocrite. Regardless, I really loved each time these popped up. Shit, I'm gonna have to play Deadlocked, aren't I? Back to the story, and we're off to Planet Dax, because Nefarious is doing something there and no one else is qualified to figure out what that is apparently. We play it being an exterminator and your average small town mechanic before learning that pop idol Courtney Gears is releasing some new music with a problematic message.
Won't you feel great when we exterminate all organic life?
Don't worry, she'll release a YouTube apology once the articles break and it'll all work out. We also infiltrate a weapons compound and get some intel on a machine under works by Nefarious called the Bio-Obliterator, which sounds like it might be concerning, so we'll tuck that into the file labeled Problems for Future Me and head off to meet a pop star. We have to go through yet another gauntlet to meet the singing robot, but I skipped the cutscene at the end because my stupid hands just can't stop hitting buttons, so I guess I'll never get to know what happened. Presumably, Courtney was not actually there, and we need to go someplace else to go find her. Perhaps this new mission that unlocked. This next mission is a movie set because Clank is contractually obligated to perform, and hell hath no fury like a director scorned. We do our scenes like the good little monkey we are and end up with more company than we'd like later on in Clank's trailer. Ratchet realizes that Clank's been gone too long, just in time for the Tyrannoids to attack, so surely only good things can be happening to the little robot right now.
It was having my sprockets lubed.
Yeah, no, he's super fine. Off to the Obani Moons to get lost jumping around for a while and connect some lasers so we can learn a bit more about the Death Star, Bio-Obliterator. Skid tries to help out, but it's going to take some time to break into this here moon, so we'll leave him to it. I can't remember if anything actually comes from this. I'll leave it to ExtraPyxel to let everyone know. Alright, so what's up next? Blackwater's under attack? Yeah, what else to do? Skid screws up his stakeout and gets taken, so it's back to the Obani Moons. I guess that did lead to something, and I should probably see a doctor about this leak in the memory center of my brain. We take a perilous journey through the tunnels using the magnet boots, dying instantly upon touching some spicy water, and end up in the testing lab for the Bio-Obliterator. We get to witness everyone's favorite character, Skid McBinks, get turned into a robot in the blink of an eye, which I guess could be worse, but we should probably put a stop to it anyway. Cue the fight with robot Britney Spears. Mecha Ariana Grande goes down in unceremonious fashion, and we get to move on. Oh, did I mention she was dating Dr. Nefarious? Well, she was dating Dr. Nefarious, so I'm sure he'll be super big fans of us after this. Anyway, we meet up with Quark to infiltrate the Doctor's starship. Did anyone verify his PhD? The guards offer little resistance to my rapid-fire rocket launcher, and hey, he's actually here for once. How many recordings do I have left? Like 50 gigs worth? Alright, yeah, so we're not done yet. We escape, but Quark stays behind because he saw something important and is still inside inside when it blows up. I've blown up a ship with him in it before, and it didn't seem to stick, so excuse my lack of tears at this funeral. Like a true gamer, we hop on the Xbox moments after the wake and decide that Nefarious is going to strike Metropolis first because Quark stopped him there last time, and he is nothing if not a petty, petty man. We arrive just in time to be late for saving the day, and here's a surprise twist no one saw coming.
How do you like my special creation, Clank?
Yeah, so our Clank isn't Clank, he's actually
Clunk!
who we fight in Mega Clunk form and reduce to scrap metal because no one makes a fool out of us and lives to tell about it. One tiny, super minor note about the events of Metropolis: Nefarious turned the entire planet into robots and we failed to stop him. I know, it's a super minor thing, but I wanted to be open about it just in case corporate decides to start asking questions. Back on the Phoenix, the newscast is exactly as helpful as it usually is, the president panders to the majority, and we are pretty much out of ideas to stop Nefarious. On a desperate whim, Ratchet remembers that Quark saw something important on the ship before it blew up, so we head to where it crashed to see if we can't dig anything up. Perhaps a big dumb war criminal corpse.
Supernova taxi.
I need a cab to come get me right away.
Whoa, this must be my lucky day.
For the sake of my own mental well-being, we're just going to move past that awkward exchange and head back to the Phoenix to play more video games. Side note, I got the black hole gun here, and it's absolutely my favorite gun in this game. This time around, the platformer reveals the location of Quark's secret base, and yeah, he's probably hiding out there like the coward he is, so we head that way to kick his ass. We fight our way through some ninja gnomes, which, I mean, yeah, sure, why not at this point, destroy some combat versions of the parkour advertisement bot from the first game, and find Quark hanging out in his PJs looking like a kid caught up past his bedtime. We lay into him for being a coward, which seems to actually hurt his feelings, good, and leave with a well-deserved sense of superiority over the situation. With that taken care of, the Phoenix is under attack, and it seems like Ratchet and Sasha have some feelings for each other, even though they've only spoken for a collective 20 minutes, so we rush back. Ratchet wants to save his crush, but I just don't want to lose that armor vendor. We save the day, learn that Nefarious is planning to turn everyone into robots planet by planet, which I probably could have worked out myself, and Sasha tells us that Velden is the next planet in line for attack. What is it with these villains and just needing to attack the one planet our heroes actually care about? More wild robot destruction. I learned that the bolt grabber lets you smash every bolt-giving item in a 10-mile radius, which is just so great, and we use a giant cannon to shoot down the Death Star. Good job, everyone. Roll credits.
Nefarious secretly constructed a second biobliterator.
Ah, beans. Alright, yeah, I guess we should go and actually save the day. This final mission is actually pretty tough. The enemies hit hard here, and there are a lot of them. Fortunately, at this point, I am incredibly well kitted out, so I work my way through after only a little bit of crying. And just like that, we've made it to the final confrontation. It's time to go toe-to-toe with Dr. Nefarious himself. Mono E Robot, let's find out who's stronger. Son of a bitch, I gotta chase this dude down? The actual final confrontation is a boss fight I have some mixed feelings about. On the one hand, screw this guy, I hate him and wish he was real so I could kick his ass myself. On the other hand, it's not a bad fight. He's challenging, but not necessarily always in a fun way. He's got a stupid amount of health, but most of his attacks are incredibly easy to dodge, so really it comes down to how well you're able to avoid getting hit over a long period of time. The real struggle I ran into here was my ammo count. I'm not sure why, probably a glitch, but the respawning ammo crates you're supposed to get here were all having a water cooler moment while I did this fight, meaning I was running on fumes on my first go at it. It got so bad that I did actually end up leaving to go and buy more of the weapons from prior games just to have more guns to shoot him with, which also made the ammo crates start respawning again, so I guess I just wasted a lot of time. Also, I did most of this at like 3 AM I think, and found out that you can cheese this stupid hologram attack by just standing on top of a big rock, so I absolutely took advantage of that. After a very long fight, Nefarious does finally go down. True to form, he throws a big fit about it, interrupting his butler's bass solo, and the two hop into a giant robot so we can have a worthless second phase. Oh hey, there's that lame redemption moment I was talking about. Glad that's over with. This part of the fight isn't even really worth talking about. All I did was hold left and fire. I took maybe 4 hits and Nefarious goes down with a whimper. So that's how it ends. The gang goes to Clank's movie premiere, skids back to normal, so I guess that robot cure thing from before worked out, and Nefarious gets stuck on a rock hurtling through space for tens of thousands of years. It's a win-win for everyone involved. gross, don't do that. Alright, so it's time for the answer to the big question. Is this still a good game? Well, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by my answer when I say that yeah, this was still pretty solid. Once again, they took everything good about the first game and just made it that much better. Plus, the ending wasn't a steaming pile of shit this time, so good stuff. The story, the gameplay, the Galactic Rangers, it's all stellar, and I would absolutely recommend playing up your arsenal in 2023. Maybe 2024 will be different, we'll have to wait and see. As always, there's definitely stuff I missed, so feel free to call me out in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're feeling extra spicy today. What's up next? Well, I'm gonna tackle a new IP. I can only handle so much of one franchise at a time. That said, I am going to be coming back for Deadlock. So, next up is a fun mystery game, and then after that will be more Ratchet. Once Deadlocked is done, I'm probably going to shelve the Lombax for a little bit to give some other titles some love. So keep an eye out, and I'll see you next time.